The Toronto Maple Leafs make a huge move today by signing Craig Berube as the next head coach. I'm going to break down his impact he can bring to the Toronto Maple Leafs, what former players have said and spoke out about Berube, and much more on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before I get into it, I just want to say to 3,437 of you that are subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're enjoying this content, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be all season long giving you updates from all the around the NHL. So with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Leafs hire Craig Berube. Now, obviously, if you've been on social media at all, if you've been anywhere at the point of today, you've seen that Craig Berube was introduced as the 32nd head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Getting the new chief in town is going to make a huge impact on this Leafs roster, which I'm going to get into a tiny bit later. Before that, I just wanted to look at Berube himself for people that might not be aware of what he's done, where he's been, and the fact that he did win a Stanley Cup championship. So when you do look at Berube, obviously he came in as an assistant coach for the Philadelphia Flyers, took over as a head coach for 2 seasons, losing in the first round out of the playoffs. He took over as an associate coach with the St. Louis Blues. Again, the following year in 2018-19, we've seen him take over the head coaching job after they fired their head coach. The St. Louis Blues were out of the playoff race. They were the worst team in the NHL. He continued on to come on the Cinderella run and win the championship with St. Louis. 2018-19, we see him make 2 first-round exits, a second-round exit out of the playoffs, and then ultimately fired as a head coach in 2023-24. Now, there was rumors flying around that Berube was going to be signed as the head coach. We've seen Paul Bissonnette hint at it during a TNT interview, well, not even interview, just on TNT with Berube. He looked at him and said, hey, introducing the new coach, Craig Berube. This was over 2 weeks ago. Now, when you do look at Berube and what a lot of people wanted from the Toronto Maple Leafs staff, management, anything like that, was accountability. Now, you can see this article from back in 2023 on February 2nd. This was Berube talking to reporters about his team. They're just getting paid lots of money and they're not doing their jobs. End of story. Obviously, this was him talking about the disappointment with the team's best players. What else do Toronto Maple Leafs fans want? The team to be held accountable. With this, we see that Berube is going to do this. This is something that fans have been crying for quite some time. This is what fans want. Not only did this guy win a championship, he also held people accountable. This is a guy that's the 32nd head coach in Toronto Maple Leafs history, and he's going to bring in an impact of championship pedigree. He's going to bring in an impact of holding players accountable. This is something that fans wanted the core for to be held for. If Mitch Marner has an off game, if Austin Matthews has an off game, John Tavares, Morgan Rielly, William Nylander, Bertuzzi, Domi, all these guys need to be held responsible at certain points of the season, and the Leafs finally have a coach that's going to do this. Now, are every player going to love him? No. Is he going to be hard to work for? Sometimes, yes, but he's going to make this team play as a team, and the biggest thing with this is former players speak out. Now, this is former players that Berube has coached with the St. Louis Blues, just kind of having their 2 cents on him as a head coach. First thing I wanted to say, this guy was meant to bleed blue. We can see a picture of Berube playing with the Toronto Maple Leafs at one point of his NHL career. Now, the biggest thing with this is, what did players have to say about him? Now, you first go on to see Colton Parayko, who is still playing for the St. Louis Blues. He was a part of the championship run. He was there the entire time. Berube was an associate coach, was a head coach. He said, from a technical standpoint, like X's and O's, we didn't really change a whole lot. He just came in, made sure that we put the work in and worked together. He got everyone to buy into their roles. I love this quote. Coming from a veteran on the team, coming from a guy that was with Berube for multiple seasons. You can see from 2017-18 when he was an associate coach all the way up to 2023-2024 when he was fired as a coach. This is a guy that knew Berube, came in, looked great, won them a cup. He knew how to get the best out of his players, and he knew how to make sure players knew their roles. Now, you also see this interview. It was an interview between Jake Allen, Bertuzzo. There was a couple guys speaking. First one, there were some words that were said that I can't say myself. That was Jake Allen. But what makes his presence felt immediately, we understand from the moment on, every single person in that locker room was accountable for their own actions, and he was doing what He was going to hold you to the standard. Sorry about that. Then you see at the bottom, Bertuzzo said right away, we realized the accountability level was going up. This is awesome. This is something that I absolutely love. Obviously, you can pause and just read this entire thing if you wanted to, but just players coming out. Pareko saying how everyone is going to work together. They're going to buy into their roles. You see other players of just Bertuzzo, Jake Allen, coming out and saying, hey, there's accountability. We've seen him himself come up, hold accountability, call players out himself. This is a guy, this is what the Leafs needed for multiple seasons. I can't stress enough, and yes, I am repeating myself when I say this. You have this team of core four, the core five, whatever it might be. We've seen Treliving in his exit precedent just kind of talking on how these players need to be better. We've never seen Sheldon Keefe do this. The team is looking at a new identity. We've seen the new head of MLSE say, this team needs to stop selling jerseys and this team needs to win. What better way to get the best out of your team than a veteran coach that's going to hold every single person? This could be a fourth line grinder all the way up to Austin Matthews. Everyone's going to be held accountable. Now you also see Bertuzzo just kind of speaking on this as well. You could feel his passion. There was an intensity to it. He continues on. It's all team first with Craig Berube. Right away, we realized the accountability level was going up. This is why a team of Stanley Cup champions loved playing for the new Toronto Maple Leafs head coach, Craig Berube, who's going to shake this roster up. I couldn't be more excited. Leafs fans, be excited about this. This guy's going to change a lot. Now, when you look at Craig Berube's roster, yes, there is a lot of former Leafs on this. You can laugh at it. You have Ryan O'Reilly, Tyler Bozak, working your way all the way down to a guy like Soshnikov. These guys were former Leafs, but look at this roster as a whole. Ryan O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Braden Shen, David Perron, Petro, Bozak, Schwartz, Dunn, Thomas. This is a good team. The one thing I will say about this roster, the Leafs roster is better. Yes, I'm not hating on this team. Yes, this is a team that won the Stanley Cup. Yes, there is a lot of talent on it. Ryan O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Braden Shen, Perron, Bozak. All these guys were valuable members of this run. They're valuable members of their entire career in the NHL. But the Leafs' talent is unmatched when you look at this. If he can unlock something from anyone, the core four, the bottom six, Bertuzzi if he comes back, Domi and Bertuzzi are going to fit in the system perfectly. Guys like Morgan Rielly, Joseph Woll, if he can get the accountability, the intensity, just bring the best out of these players, this is going to be an incredible year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I wanted to add this part in because I thought this was awesome as well. In 2019, he snapped a 52-year championship drought to get the St. Louis Blues their first cup since joining the league in 1967. The Leafs' last title, 1967. Something poetic about this, and honestly, I couldn't agree more. If it's going to happen, it's going to be within the next 2 years. Craig Berube, the Chief, is the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to see big changes coming, not only from the roster, internally, in this locker room, accountability, a word that I will not stop using, leadership. This is going to be a year for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their new head coach. But with that, let's hop straight into the last topic today, which is comment of the day. Comment of the day comes from Rob, a big supporter of this channel. Shout out, Rob. You've been great, and it's awesome to see you continuously watching this video. Leafs should target a guy like Pesce, Zadorov, Jones, or Montour. I think there's going to be big changes to this Leaf team. Maybe it's more defensemen coming in. Maybe it's more forwards. There's so many rumors floating around of the core four not being safe, other than Nylander and Matthews, of them looking at every available option, free agency, trades, whatever it might be. I think a guy like Pesce is someone the Toronto Maple Leafs will most certainly be going after. Zadorov is having an insane run with the Vancouver Canucks. Jones is a guy that maybe not so much to reach out for. Montour's a free agent. This is going to be an incredible offseason, and I hope you guys are bought in for this. If you enjoyed this episode of Hat Trick HQ, make sure to go down and hit that like button, subscribe, comment. It could be featured on the next episode of Hat Trick HQ as comment of the day. But I've been your host, Mark, and take care.